So welcome to our pre-party. I should have confetti or something like that, but I'm just not cheesy enough to do that. I should try to be. Um, I'm super excited to teach this marketing workshop. This is the fifth year in a row I'm teaching this because I love it. Your names are on my wall over here. Like it gets me pumped. I start thinking about you and your businesses and how I can help you both during this workshop and then after if you need any help from there. But to start off with our little welcome introduction here to the marketing workshop, our intention really, my intention for teaching this is to help you get found by more great clients. We don't want just more inquiries, we want more of the right inquiries. And so that's what good marketing and intentional marketing helps us do. All right. So marketing is one of the main levers of success in your business. What that means is when we level up the brand position, you don't have to work as hard in other areas. I'm going to I'm going to use Pantone's color of the year as an example here. Pantone has a great brand, right? Known for color, right? We know what they are supposed to be delivering to us, right? We know what to expect. And then this year, they delivered us what most of us would consider a flop, right? A non-color. And it's got people talking. Now, plenty of people will say, well, as long as people are talking, who cares what they're saying? I could not agree less on that when it comes to this brand with this decision, right? We are like, huh? Have you lost your mind? Are you even who you say you are? This is what we want to avoid with our marketing. We want to avoid people going, what? This doesn't make sense. Why would you do that? Right? We want to avoid that. And previously, Pantone would release their color of the year, and we're on tenterhooks. We want to know. We do. I like to pretend I don't care. I care. I looked first thing yesterday to see what the color was. And next year, guess what? I don't know that I'm going to care at all, right? They may have lost me forever at this point. All it takes is one move. That's not correct. And I'm not saying that to be like beating up on them, but just to use a really timely example of if we are trying to attract great clients, we want to think about what do they want from us and what do they need from us. And we did not need white, right? We did not need white from Pantone. So they're going to have to work a little harder for us to care next year, is my point. Everything starts with intention. If you've done any training with me ever, 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 I'm like a broken record with this. What is your intention? It's a question that helps me to ground myself, reset, and understand why I'm doing something. It's a great pause. It's a great way for me to check in and say, yeah, no, this is a righteous thing I'm doing. This is worth my time. Versus, oh, I'm doing this because, well, I don't know. I'm not sure why I'm doing this. And if that's the answer, then I can stop and reassess. Maybe this isn't the thing to do. Okay. So, before we start this workshop, what I want to do is just set an intention for your participation in the training. I'd love to see you join me live, of course. You have to do whatever makes sense for you and your schedule. So I'm going to have replays. But if you can show up live, even just a little bit, right? It goes a long way in holding yourself accountable to just doing the work in the workshop. So my brief questions today, which you can write down for yourself, you can just think them to yourself while you're driving. What would you like to get out of this experience? What would be a success for you at the end of a marketing workshop? What would make it worth your time? And my question here is, what will it feel like to be confident about how you market your brand and attract the best customers? Because we do need to be a little future thinking when it comes to the type of business we want to be. And sometimes we need to imagine ourselves there, right? So if you feel great when you go to post your next Instagram post or write your next blog post or just updating the homepage on your website, because that's marketing too, right? When you go to do any of those things, how will you feel if you feel confident about what it is you want to say to attract the right clients? I like to try to slow down to give you a minute to think, but again, if you've ever done training with me, you know that's the hardest thing is me being quiet so you can think. But the reason we do this, the reason we want to think about what it's like to feel confident when we talk to our customers is because we're often holding ourselves back because we're not sure what we should be saying. Or it feels like we're bragging, or it feels too salesy. And what we want to do is create a plan. What my intention is with you for the beginning of next week is to really try to just cut through some of the noise of what you quote unquote should be doing and think about what it is that your actual customers want to hear from you. You do not need to be a branding expert to have a good brand. There are plenty of people who just follow their instinct, follow their dream, start a business, and they've got tons of people following them and buying things from them, right? It's a little gift, right? Um, so sometimes you're just so sincere that the masses want to follow you. But for most of us, we need to work a little bit on becoming our own branding expert, knowing what our brand would say and what they wouldn't say. When I started my business, there was no social media. This is part of why I teach this workshop as well. I think it's really important to have this experience where social media wasn't how I grew my business because it is a trick and it is a mind game, right? There was no social media. So I was actually in business for 2 whole years before I even got a website. I didn't have any followers because there was no concept of followers at that point. And what I also didn't have to do, though, was worry about what I was going to post every single day to earn attention or to impress my competition. My marketing efforts were super amateur. They were awful in many ways, but they were heartfelt and they were mostly based on doing cold calls and then like getting referrals. That was most of my marketing. But marketing is, of course, very, very different now, right? It is more demanding on your time. It can be emotionally draining. I feel like I should change this from it can be to it is inevitably emotionally draining. You're done with a wedding. Maybe I'm just speaking for myself, but I'm done with a wedding. And now I have to pick the images I took and do a post on it. Back in the day, I used to do a wedding and then be done. And that was nice, right? But the truth is that we are all kind of following an algorithm, whether we mean to or not. And it's designed to convince us that if we post here every day, we will be successful. But that is obviously not true, right? Posting every day is not a plan. But there are still some golden rules of marketing that will always apply. They applied before Instagram existed, and they will apply afterwards as well. If you have never seen my little floralpreneur fundamentals chart here, my official growth chart, this is this is truly what I feel like makes the magic of your business work. Okay. We start with our floristry skills and our design knowledge. Very often, people start a business with only this under their belts. They just have a little bit of design skill, and that's enough for them to start a business. But from there, what we really need to know is how we price for profitability so that we can pay ourselves. We need to know how we book and make and close sales, right? We need to book clients and close sales because if you can't get somebody to a yes on a quote, doesn't matter how you priced it, you're not getting paid, right? And then from there, we need to work on building our brand reputation. It takes a little bit of time and then it takes practice because again, Pantone is giving me this gift of a great example, how easy it is to slip all the way from you're the authority on color to, whoa, you don't even know, you have no idea the depths of levels of which people are wronged by this decision, right? So, what we want to do is really consider how easily that brand reputation can be tarnished or damaged if we're just not being a steward of it. And part of what that means is not getting sucked into the cycle of social media, but instead being really focused on who you are, what you stand for, who you're talking to, and what they want to hear from you, right? If Pantone was focused on what we want to hear from them, they would know we don't want white. They would know that. How easy it is to know that. So this is where cracks develop in our brand. And I'm going to get into this in the workshop, but it's such an important part to wrap our heads around what your brand actually is. Okay? So people can say my brand is, right? I'm a luxury wedding florist, right? And you can say that's your brand. But the truth is your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room, right? We all have a personal brand and we have our business brand. That is what our brand is. When people say, oh my gosh, they have the best wood-fired pizza, right? That's your brand. People are saying that about you. When they say, oh my gosh, they have the worst customer service, that's your brand. That's what people are saying about you, right? And you can have both those things happen at the same time. You can have the best wood-fired pizza and the worst customer service. But guess which one is going to be talked about more? Guess which one is going to hurt or help more, right? You can have the best pizza. If you have the worst service, you're going down. Okay. Anyway, get down off my soapbox there. But that's why building brand reputation is so important because there's work that we can do, but the most important work we do is we show up and deliver what we promise so people see us the way we're trying to present ourselves as reliable, as honest, as totally worth the investment. So I'm going to give you a little marketing prompt just to close things out. Just because we got a weekend ahead of us, I want you to have some time to think about what it is you want to say between now and the end of the year to your audience, your followers, your potential customers. So tell people what you're selling this month and include the deadline to order it. You should already know what you're offering for sale this month, right? If you have some sort of, some people have rhizomes and tubers and things for sale, right? Maybe you have those things for sale. Maybe you have a special holiday design that you're selling. Maybe you are booking consultations for weddings for next year. Whatever it is that you are offering, it doesn't have to be a physical product. Post something where you're sharing a sample if you do have a physical project a product or some kind of behind the scenes video of you and what you're doing, right? So we need to show up not just on social media, which is why this is a marketing prompt and not just a social media prompt. Your website is also where this needs to happen. So if by any chance your website doesn't say what you're offering this month, really big and bold, right? Now booking consultations for 2026, now taking orders for our CSA, whatever it is that you might be doing, make sure you put it there. Make sure you put it there. We want things to match. If I go to your social media and it says you're offering this, let it also say that on your website. And make sure that you're telling clients exactly how to buy from you. And again, that deadline to order. So, do you only have a certain amount of spots? Do you only have a certain amount of arrangements? How do we make sure that we're communicating? Here are the steps to buy, and there's only 5 of these left, or you got to order by the 20th, or whatever it is that you want to say. You have 12 days left to order, 10 days left to order, right? You can do a little countdown kind of thing like that. And make sure that you share when your business is going to be closed at the end of the month, if it is, so folks know when you'll be away and when you'll be back. So many people do not communicate their hours and also don't take enough time off. Close your shop and take the time off if you don't have business on New Year's Eve, or excuse me, Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, right? Whatever your holiday schedule is, make sure that you set it and don't forget it, okay? Set it and stick to it, and make sure that your customers know so that they're not trying to come in, on Christmas Day to pick up the arrangement that they should have picked up on the 23rd. You're closed. So to close things out, I just want to say thanks for being here. Even if you're watching on the replay, thanks for being here. The reason I teach this workshop again is because it is so important that we don't get distracted by things that don't actually move our business forward. And an intentional marketing and branding strategy is truly the most effective way to establish that premium brand position so you attract the best clients to your business year after year. This work takes practice and we only get better at it. You only get better at speaking to your ideal customers in your authentic voice through doing it. And the more you do it, the better you get, the more customers you can keep attracting year after year. All right. So we are going to dive in on Monday. We're going to have a good time. I'm going to do my best to keep the sessions to like 45 minutes. So I'm not wasting your time. And there will also be a bonus session on Thursday, noon Eastern every day, so that there's no trying to keep track of the times for you. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to email me or ask during our live sessions, particularly during that bonus Q&A on Thursday. All right, I'm going to wrap it here. You have a great day. I will see you on Monday. Thank you for tuning in. And yeah, have a nice weekend.
Thanks, Allison. See you
You're
Monday.
so welcome. Thanks, Lori.